Hi class, we are going to talk about how to use files. So files is related to input-output stream, which we have seen before. In cin and cout, loading through the terminal. So in the terminal, we can get input, and then we can also output things or characters to the terminal. The directive that's related to it is IO stream. Without it, we cannot use cin cout. Similarly, for input-output streams for files, we need a directive f stream. To use it, first of all, we need to tell the stream the file names. So after that, though, the way to use the stream is almost exactly the same like cin and cout. So one thing to mention is that the input stream is the type is if stream. For output stream is OF stream, which stands for output file stream. This is input file stream. Let's look at some code as usual. So to get a file stream ready for use, we have actually 4 steps. And then I have a 5th step because you always want to close the file stream so that it's not hanging open when you don't need it anymore. First of all, you need a file name that you want to open. This is one of the ways to have it. If you are not asking for users for input, for example, it's just a name that you already know what file name you are going to open. And so that's why we are using constant variable or constant. Basically, it's not a variable anymore. So it's a character array. We will talk more about array later, but you can see this syntax. This is how to basically put this file name inside this character array and then use it when we open the file stream. But before we can open a file stream, we need to tell the compiler if it's a input or output file stream. So here is an input file, so it's a if stream, a variable name, and then you use that variable name and then use a dot notation, and then call a predefined function called open, and then give it the name of the file so that the input file stream can open that file to be used. But before you continue on, you always want to test if the opening is successful, because sometimes, for example, if your file doesn't exist or other problems, the opening have a problem, then all your code is not going to run. So it is better to just exit the program. Of course, before that, you want to give a warning or an error message to the user, right? So pay attention to also the exit. We are giving it an exit code of 1. So exit 0 usually means there's no error. Exit 1 means there's an error. And so for now, we are just using the simplest way to get out of the program. And then after this, it means the file stream, the input file stream, is ready to use. So you can get data from this input file and using it almost like a cin basically. And then when you are done, remember to close the file stream. So you see I marked the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. And this is the description of the 5 steps if you want to review them. So output file stream is exactly the same how to create it basically. Same 4 step. You have the name of the file, you have the variable for the output file stream, you open the file stream, open the file and see if that succeed. If so, then you can write to that output file just like you are using cout almost, but using fout, fout because that's what I declare as the variable name. And then afterwards you would close the file. So easiest way to show you how to use it is that we are going to do this exercise or demo. read some numbers from this number underscore input dot dat file. Write those number to another file that's named underscore output dot dat. And then, but we want to clean it up a little bit, so we want to have one number on each line, and then each number has exactly 2 decimal points. So let's see how to do it. This time we are going to use Xcode, because Xcode is a little bit convoluted in some way, because when we create a file inside, it wouldn't automatically see it so easily. So I want to show you the way to make it happen also. If you are using Windows, I would be very happy if one of you can tell us how you were able to make that file, like read that file from your Visual Studio. So let's create the file first. Usually as a good practice, you actually want to create a folder that put all your like other types of file, and not put all the files in the same place. What I mean is, program file put in one place, and then resources or exit like photos or other things put in another place. Sometimes we even group different kind of files into a different folder, right? It's just good folder management, file management skills. So here we can say add files, and then we will create a new folder called resources. And then say okay, and then in the resources down we create a new file, because it automatically created a text file for you, so we would just change the name of it to number input dot dat. That's what we wanted. But for this to work, we have to go to product, go to scheme, add the scheme, run debug options, and then you have to specify the custom working directory, and then we can it automatically already point to resources, so we just say okay, and then we close it. And that's how the steps that we need to set up, so that the main.cpp will be able to find your file just like it's in the same directory. But if you put it just right in the same directory as main.cpp, it wouldn't work also. You always actually have to do that step for Xcode. The instruction, I actually found it in Stack Overflow when I was trying to do it myself. It actually didn't work, and I didn't, like I said, Stack Overflow is our friend. So you will find it in the PowerPoint, the PDF. So let's continue. Well, let's first of all have some numbers there, so that we can do some testing. We can even have more space in it, because supposedly it should be able to, for how we are going to do it, it will actually, I don't. So as you see, the it's important that what we put in the file, because if you put some not integers but letters, for example, it will have unexpected result. So let's say this is our input file. So now we go back to main.cpp. You see that magically we have all this setup steps already written out, because I just don't want you to have to see me type in what you already saw in the PDF. As we talked about before, you want to use constants for the file name, since if they are not going to be changed. and then it's the same 3 steps to declare the variable, to open the file stream, and then to check if it failed or not. So we did it for both input and output file. So now we can see how to use the input and output stream. Like I said, it's used very similarly to the cin and cout. There are some differences, but in general it's pretty similar. So let's read a number from the input file. The variable for the input file stream is fin. That's what we declared. So well, first of all, we need a variable to hold that number, right, that we are going to read in. So let's read that number from the input file stream, and then let's just output it so that we can see what it is and make sure that we are okay. As you see, the first number was read and it was okay. So let's also try to put it in our file, the output file. So let's run it again and see. So it's pre-null also. Let's see if, so we see that a new file is created using the file name that we set up, number underscore output.dat. So it seems like things are working, but we have 2 requirements, right? So one, we want to put the numbers 1 line at a time, which we can just do it this way, yes. And then the second is that we want to have only 2 decimal points. So the setup is pretty similar to the set the precision for fout for output file stream. You need to use a predefined function this way. Precision, so it's this one, and we'll set to 2, and then CL should happen afterwards. And I think we don't need this anymore. Or, you know, you can always comment it out and leave it for debugging purpose later. So let's see if that's what happened. I think we would it looks like it's working for the first number. So now it means that we should loop it, you know, to continue looking for numbers, and then format it and then put it in the output file. And so we would, you know, some of you actually sometimes has the while loop starting here, but if you think about it, you are making the program create a number, destroy a number, create a number again, and destroy the number again. So I would say that to be more efficient programmer, you don't want to create the number over and over again. And also the second thing is we can actually use this fin inputting the number, use it in a while loop as a Boolean statement. So because what it is that so I'm putting it in a while loop. So this particular statement actually will return true if reading the number is successful. And that's why we can do it that way. And so it will just continuously reading number until there's no number to read anymore. And then we will just put all the other stuff in the while loop. So let's compile the program and let's see what the output becomes. So like we want it. All right, finally. So then you can see it side by side to check if your results are right. So one thing that we forgot actually is to close the input files, the file streams before we leave. It's just as good citizens. Yeah. All right. Let's see the. So here I have put the steps to set the working directory. Remember that you would have to do that so that your program will run with the plaintext file in Xcode. If you are using Windows and you have similar issues, let's talk about it. Send me an email. So I will see you in the next video.